So it's 12 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join me and learn about G Suite's Team Drive functionality. I'm just going to kick off the presentation again here. And we're good to go. So we've got, sure, a few more people are going to join. I think a few people registered and then had conflicts, but we're recording this. So we'll post it up online later and everybody can watch it again. So G Suite Team Drives, had lots of people ask me to do a bit of an overview on this, what it is, how it works, why they should use it, what's different about it versus just regular Google Drive. So I'm hoping to answer all those questions for you guys. And if you have any questions at the end, I will leave some time for Q&A. So let's get started. So what are Team Drives? Sort of works like your personal Google Drive, but it belongs to an individual or a team versus an individual. So it's definitely available in enterprise, business, and education versions. So it's not something that's available in the Google Personal Edition. So you have to pay Google to be able to use it. Some common uses are if you have some projects with multiple people in them and you want everybody to have access. Events, you can create template drives and reuse them. And then things like company-wide documentation. We have a marketing Google Drive, for instance, and all our marketing stuff goes in there that everybody needs access to. And then also sensitive files too, right? If you want to have a Google Drive for managers, so you can have a management drive or an HR drive. And then with them, you can manage team access, you can manage sharing, and you can also, you can secure it quite a bit as well, both internally and externally. So you can prevent people from sharing outside the company. You can do all sorts of things like that, which are important as your business grows and you have a whole bunch of people to manage. It really gives you a good idea of who's got access to what. So everyone's like, the biggest question people have is, I'm not sure whether just to use my Google Drive and just share out a folder, share out a file, or do I use a Team Drive? So I'm going to try to answer that question for you. So you should ask yourself a couple questions to figure out if Team Drives are good for you. Are the files that you're going to put in there of interest to most or all members of a particular project team, or just like a department in your company, whether it's sales or support or operations, marketing, those types of things? Do the files share a consistent theme? Are they related to certain things? And if you answer yes to both those questions, then the Team Drive is probably the way to go. If it's a variety of projects, so say you have like an internal projects or you have certain types of projects, you could actually create multiple Team Drives for those groupings of projects as well. So how do you enable them? Google by default has Team Drives disabled for everybody except for admins. So you need to log in to admin.google.com. These are some quick steps. Obviously, you can reference these later. I'm just going to quickly unshare the presentation. I'm just going to walk through this myself. We've already got it set up, so it's already kind of configured, but I'll kind of show you where to go so you know how to get there later. So I'm going to share my Google Chrome. Just 1 second. There we go. You should be able to see my Google Chrome here. So I'm going to put my password in. Oh, it's the wrong one. Hopefully, let me get the right one. So I'm logged into my Google admin. Obviously, you need to be an admin of your Google account. I just need to click apps. And then because Google G Suite Teams is a Google app. I would just click on the G Suite logo here. Show me all my G Suite apps. And as you can see down here, there's obviously a big list of them. And Drive and Docs is the one we're looking for here. You might get this prompt introducing groups to enable services. So part of the security behind Google Drives is groups. You can make a group based on a department or a project, and you can assign that group access to a team drive. And it makes it really simple, because then if you add or remove people in your organization, you just add them to a group and boom, they have everything they need. So I'm gonna click on Drive and Docs here, and it'll take me to the admin section for that. So I've turned on Drive and Docs for everyone in the organization, but team settings is a bit different. So you can manage your team drives here. Because we already have it turned on, I'll just show you what this looks like. So we have all these different team drives, internal software, internal projects, event planning, marketing, and you can actually see the settings for these drives individually. So you can actually, you can say people inside TWT group can give access to people outside for this team drive. They're able to share with non-members. They're able to download, copy, and print. Because we're an IT company, we're pretty transparent because everybody in our team really knows what they're doing with technology, but that's definitely something you might want to lock down, disable sharing externally. You can also do some restorations here. If somebody deletes a file, you can go in here and restore some files. I'm just going to go back to the other settings. You can change your default sharing settings kind of globally here, which is really great. So you can also pick who is allowed to make team drives. So any users, full access members, people outside of my organization, non-members, and commenters. So really, I'm the only one currently that can actually make team drives in the organization. If you wanted to allow other people to, you could edit these settings. So you can check these boxes off. You can really lock it down if you want, or you can kind of leave it all open. Another thing to note here is link sharing. So this is another thing that people do with Google Drive, and whether it's team drives or not, is they'll share a link with somebody outside the company. And you might want to also think about locking that down too. So these are the defaults, obviously, for links if you create a file. But yeah, you might want to just, my recommendation is to turn that off, because as soon as you create a link, then it's forever available to whoever that link is shared with. So yeah, and then again, up here is sharing options for both team drives and Google Drive. It applies to both. So you can change these kind of as they fit your organization. So that's security settings. I'm going to just go back to settings and drives. So like I said, by default, Google's settings are actually set so that only the admin can create team drives. So if you're going to probably have to go in as a first step and allow other people to create team drives. So I'm just going to go back to slideshow. Some resources. So there's some great resources, and I didn't just want to copy and paste them for you. So I'm going to pull them up and the links are here. And also I'll share those later too. So I'll pull these up and show you guys them. So back here, I've got team drive best practices. So again, if you need to figure out when to use a team drive, what they're for, they've got this really good table here. So who can add files? If it's your own drive, it's only you. Team drives, any member with contributor access. What types of files can you add? Obviously all types of files except maps. And then can you move files and folders? So this is sort of where the difference starts to come into play, is that team drives have different access levels. So you have contributor, you have content manager, and you have manager. So it breaks down what each of those can do. So if you're a contributor, you can move files away from your My Drive to a team drive. If you're content manager, you can move it within team drives. And then if you're a manager, obviously you can do everything. So you can obviously sync drive files to your computer using the Drive file stream client for Mac or PC. And then, you know, anything in a team drive, any member of that team can see those files. And I'll show you kind of where you set these up here. Just one second. I'm just going to open my team drive here. And I did unshare on purpose because lots of sensitive information, but I'm going to show you. So now you can see our team drives here. So if we go into marketing, you can see it even shows you this number here on the right-hand side is how many members are a member of that team drive. So it's really easy to kind of see how many people have access to that data. And then you can actually right-click on that team drive. You can add members, you can manage members, you can just email the whole list of members. You can look at the team drive settings for this team drive right here, specifically the marketing team drive. You can edit that right there, very simple. You can change the theme. All these little images on the left-hand side, that's the theme. You can search within. You can hide it if you want. You know, maybe it's an archive team drive, maybe old projects or something. And then you can manage members. So this is probably the most important part here. You can add members in here. You can pick what permission level they are. And don't worry if you forget. There's a pretty quick description underneath, but you can always just click learn more and it'll break down all these permissions for you. And you can even add, like you can add people and you can add groups in here. So I kind of mentioned groups earlier. So we have a group called TWT Core Staff, and I can add that group, and anyone in that group will now get this level of access. And it makes it really easy for future administration as we add or remove people. I just add them to groups. I don't have to go in and individually add single people. You can send them a notification or not. Just check that box off. I'm going to cancel that because I don't need to change those permissions. The email members it's kind of a handy feature. You can just quickly send everyone an email. I mean, I have never done that, but you may want to. And that's pretty much it. It's really simple. It just shows up here on the side, just under your My Drive. Your team drives comes up here, and then all the ones you have access to are right there. You know, they work just like any other folder. I always say, like, any permissions in a team drive, like, everybody should have access to them. The only way you might want to modify that is you might want to just give some people only view access. I like to keep it simple. Like, my thought on permissions is either you can view it only or you can do everything. And then maybe one or two people can add and remove members, like sort of the people at the higher end of your organization. Commenter and contributor is sort of like for those really unique cases, but you kind of want to keep your permissions really simple so that you can understand them and they don't get too complicated. So that's in the best practices. We covered all these parts here. Common uses, we already spoke about a lot of those. Moving your files to your team drive is super easy as long as you have access. You can do it in the web interface. You just literally just drag and drop them into folders. You can, let me pull up a file here. If I just go like new that's how you create a new team drive. You just click the new button under team drives. Very self-explanatory. But you can, yeah, you just basically drag and drop. It's simple as that. You can even move between team drives. So you could move something from marketing to internal projects. You just have to have the proper permission level, so that you need a manager or contributor level. And we've gone over this stuff. So I'll share these just in case you need to reference them again, but pretty straightforward. Trying to get to the next tab here. This bar is in my way. There we go. So there's also a cheat sheet. This is, it's pretty cool. It's very easy to follow along, you know, how to create a new team drive, add members, which we've covered, obviously just for reference. And then here's a cheat sheet for permissions. So it really breaks down what can a content manager do that a contributor can't. And here's the things, easy to understand check marks. So very simple there. I'm going to stop sharing this and go back to our presentation. So I'll share these links with you guys. You can also Google them. If you Google Team Drives cheat sheet, it will find it for you. I guarantee it. That's it. Not too complicated. I think a lot of people sort of just aren't sure which one to use and when, and I think that's the big question that hopefully I've answered here. I'm just gonna close the presentation and I'm going to see if there's any questions. I've got a hand up from Jamie. So Jamie, I'm just gonna chat with you, and what's your question? And if anybody else has any questions, just post them in the chat on the bottom right of your Zoom there, and I'll go through them. So do group members have to be inside the org? That's a great question. And I'm going to find out the answer for you in real time. So just going to go into my admin panel. I'm actually just going to share this with you guys too. And I'll just walk you through. So if I go into groups for business, and this is where your groups are created. So this is good that we need to know. So advanced settings, these are the group settings. So we might be able to actually turn on external. So creating groups, so anybody in my company can create groups. And if I go back here, you create your groups under directory and then groups. And this is where I'll actually see all my company's groups. And if I go to this group, and there's direct members. I'm just gonna add a member, and I'm just gonna go jamie@xyz.com. So the problem here is that I'm pretty sure it needs to be my domain. Yeah. So this tells me just by deduction that the group member has to be in my organization. And I'm pretty sure that is the answer. The answer is they have to be in your organization. So I just want to confirm that. So I'm going to Google it. So yes, that's the thing is, I think Team Drives, you can invite external people too. but you cannot add external people into a group. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Who's cheering for the Calgary Flames? Hopefully everybody. If you do have any more questions, I'm just gonna share last slide here. You know, my email or contact information is on the last slide, and you can reach out. Happy to answer any more specific questions like Jamie's and get you guys the answers you need to get it set up properly and use it effectively. And also securely. I think the security piece is a big part, and that's where groups sort of really shine. Jamie, on another note, just on your question about external people and groups, is that I would almost urge you to create like a team drive specifically for external people if you're going to be sharing it with a lot of people, just because then your staff both know that that folder is outside facing. It's really, really clear. Because if you had sort of an internal looking folder, but you had shared it externally with a group of people, it's just not as clear as who might have access to it, and that you never want to kind of run into those situations. So looks like I got another chat here. Good idea. You're welcome. So it's nice to think about it as far as internal file sharing, external file sharing. Get really clear on your internal groups and kind of which people need to be in them, and then which folders those groups need access to. And then also kind of anything externally that you're going to share, you know, make another team drive, say like share it externally. And then I would even do that even if you're not going to give them access to the full team drive. If you're just going to share a link to one file, I'd put it in like an external share drive, a team drive as well. And then at least it's very, very clear for your whole team. And then there's no confusion with like, oh, I put that in there and now all my clients have access to that folder I just wanted one client to have access to, right? There won't be any confusion there. So if there's no other questions, hopefully I was super clear and hopefully answered everything for you guys. Oh, sorry, Lisa, I just saw your question there too. So can group members interact within themselves on a project? Just as you have in Microsoft Teams. So you can definitely use like the collaboration features in documents, in sheets, like the chat and the comments. You can use those all within Teams as well. So anything that you currently use in a document that's not in a Google Team drive, you can use in a Google Team drive. Those features are all available across the board. Microsoft or Google doesn't have a similar product to Microsoft Teams. I guess it would be like their chat application, and that is sort of their answer to that, but definitely the collaboration is a little bit different than Teams. Definitely two different products for sure. But I guess if you do have like a specific scenario that you're trying to say, how would I collaborate on this type of document within a Google Teams drive, just maybe shoot me an email and I can kind of point you in the right direction, whether it's comments on the document or whether it's in chat on the document. I'm actually just going to pull up just like a quick little tidbit. I'm going to make a Google Sheet just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about for the collaboration. I'm just going to share my brand new Google Sheet here that I have. So let me see, 1, 2, 3. There's actually in the top right hand corner, you can see you can do comments, you can, you know, what should go here? You can even tag people, so I can tag anyone on my team. I just have to type @ and then they'll get tagged. I can assign it to them. There is a chat section too. I might have it disabled under our company, but there is on the side here, you can actually do some chatting and stuff. Side panel. Oh. You can create tasks and get all your links there. So there's a few different types of collaboration things you can do that might kind of answer that question for you, Lisa, just to get you what you need that you might not have without having Microsoft Teams. I'm also going to see, got a Google document here too. Just gonna, I think the collaboration tools are the same, commenting. I think, actually no, the reason that my chat's not showing up is because you can't chat with yourself. Like Google's trying to prevent you from thinking you're going crazy. So that's the answer, hopefully. If you have any more questions, Lisa, just shoot me an email. I'll help you dig into that answer further. Cool. All right, well, I will let you guys all get to your lunch. This was being recorded, so I'll definitely make sure we get it posted up, send an email to the link for everybody. Feel free to share it with your team so that they know how to do all the permissions and the sharing. You can delegate that to somebody else to set up for you, and then they can understand it. So go Flames go, and have a great afternoon.